Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Maze MTG here, back with another daily deck. Again, for the War of the Spark Chronicles Part 5 Gideon's Sacrifice Ravnica Constructed event, going live on MTG Arena tomorrow. So in this format, you can only play cards from Guilds of Ravnica, Ravnica Allegiance, and War of the Spark, with the exception that Gates Ablaze is banned. So in this case, what deck have we got this time? Our third deck is Selesnya Midrange. So as you probably know from Standard, Selesnya has access to some of the most powerful 5-drops in the format currently, and that doesn't change when the card pool reduces to Ravnica Constructed. So the aim of this deck is to ramp in the early game, have some reasonable 3 and 4 drops to see you through, and then start dropping bombs on your opponent in the late game. So to enact that plan, our ramp: 4 copies of Incubation Druid, 4 copies of Paradise Druid. We are missing Llanowar Elves, so in this deck our plan's kind of to go from 2 to 4, 5, and then 6. But just in case we do draw something like a Selesnya Guildgate, or you want to cast a 1-mana spell like our 4 copies of Flourish, we do have some 3s in the deck as well that do allow you to curve out, also if you don't draw your ramp creatures. Our remaining 2 drops are 3 copies of Kraul Harpooner. I can't imagine Thief of Sanity doesn't see a reasonable amount of play in the Ravnica Constructed format, and having a 3-2 reach creature for 2 mana in its own right is also a reasonably aggressive beater against aggro decks as well, so it's kind of pulling double duty there, answering Thief of Sanities and just being another early threat. Our 3 mana plays: we have 4 copies of Knight of Autumn. The mode you're going to use the most is having it come in as a 4-3, but you do gain flexibility from the ability to gain life and destroy artifacts or enchantments. Our removal comes in the form of 3 Prison Realm, so we can exile creatures, planeswalkers, we get the scry when it happens. Because we are green-white, we don't have access to particularly potent spot removal, but Prison Realm will allow us to answer key problematic permanents. We're also playing 1 copy of Vivien's Arkbow, just for if we do have plenty of mana, we get to the late game, we start drawing lands, we want to convert them into rolls at things like Nullhide Ferox, Trostani, Oketra, etc. As I've said, part of the core of this deck is the ability to go from 2 mana to 4 mana, and our 4 mana plays are 4 copies of Nullhide Ferox, the big 6/6 for 4. Considering most of our 5 drops are creatures, curving Nullhide into a creature is still perfectly acceptable. The non-creature spells tax, not so much a problem for this deck. Our remaining 4 drops are 3 copies of Conclave Cavalier, a card I personally quite like. So it's a 4/4 for 4 with Vigilance, and when it dies, it splits down into 2 2/2 green and white elf knight creature tokens with Vigilance, and because they're then separate creatures, if you do have something like a Trostani, like an Immortal Sun, they're both going to receive the pump off that as well. Coming up into the 5 mana slot, so many cards we want to play, so few slots. We do have 2 copies of Nissa, who shakes the world, as powerful in Ravnica Constructed as she is in Standard at the moment. We don't care that we're playing her alongside the Immortal Sun. The ramp effect in its own right is incredibly potent, and turning our lands into creatures helps us enact our mid-range plan. We have 2 copies of Trostani Discordant, an army in a box. Mass manipulation is legal in the format, so Trostani makes sure you get your own permanents back, and also just being able to go wide with 1 card is a powerful plan. We do have 1 copy of Tolsimir, Friend to Wolves, so 2 3/3 bodies and that wolf fight when it comes in. And finally, 1 copy of God-Eternal Oketra as well. In Standard, it was being played in banned midrange right at the start of the War of the Spark format. Seems to have fallen out of favour, but I wanted to try to bring it back here, at least with a single copy, because I personally haven't had a chance to play with the card. And last but not least, seeing as our Planeswalkers are exactly 2 Nissa, we have 2 copies of the Immortal Sun to shut down opponents who are trying to enact a Planeswalker base game plan, like Blue-Black control, like Esper control, like Orzhov control. There's a possibility of, say, a Gruul Planeswalker Super Friend build as well. And also just being able to draw extra cards, cheaper spells, creature pump as well. The Immortal Sun is very flexible, very powerful, the ideal curve topper for this deck. Because we have Flourish in the deck, we have ramp spells in the deck. Our mana base is 5 plains, 9 forest, 4 Guildgate, and 4 Temple Garden, and that really is our 60. So, what do you think to the deck? Do you like the look of it? Are there any changes you'd make? Any changes you'd make in the 5-drop slot especially? If there are, or you want to say anything at all, please leave a comment in the comments below for me. Otherwise, what we're going to do, like we've been doing in our other videos for this format, we're going to take the deck into the Arena Standard queue, play a game with it, see how that shakes out. So I'll see you in a moment for that. Okay, so we're on the draw with this opening hand from our Selesnya Midrange deck. Only got 2 lands, but like I said, we are on the draw. We do have Flourish, we've got Paradise Druid, we have mid-game plays and a Nissa as well, so I don't think we can mulligan this. The question then is whether we're going to lead on Guildgate or Plains so we can flower. I think we're going to go Plains Flower, because then we can cast Paradise Druid on 2, and then we can always consider having our Guildgate coming on 3. So opponent has a Siren Storm Tamer. Does that change my plan? Not particularly, just makes Kraul Harpooner better. So we'll play this, we're going to cast Flower, we're going to get a basic forest. Assuming we're allowed to select one. So opponent appears to be playing Mono Blue. Mono Blue, I imagine, won't be a fixture in the Ravnica constructed queues, just because of their lack of 1-drops. It's not kind of got the cards to make it work, just from those 3 sets alone. So, we've drawn a Temple Garden, that's pretty good. So we're going to play a Forest. As much as I'd like to wait for our opponent to try and drop a Curious Obsession somewhere, we've still got Knight of Autumn and the ability to play it next turn. So we're going to bring Harpooner in and shoot down the Storm Tamer. I guess we can... opponent might just have Dive Down. We'll threaten the Pteramander anyway. See if opponent wants to sack the Storm Tamer. Yeah, they have the Dive Down. I'm happy trading the Harpooner trigger for a Dive Down. We still keep the 3-2. Going to be kind of unfortunate if opponent has like Tempest Djinn or something here. That's quite a big card. What do we draw? Untapped Forest. So we can't do much attacking here. So our options are play a Paradise Druid. But again, this is not the best against a 4-toughness creature. Or we can just play a land and deploy Knight of Autumn as a 4-3, which I think is what we're going to be doing. We'd like to pick the +2/+2 mode. Thank you. No attacks. So opponent's got 1 card left. Does opponent get in? So they're getting in with Djinn. We're not going to block, because we can't. Well, we can, but we're not going to. And then we'll see what opponent plays. Ooh, we've drawn a Oketra. That's an interesting one. So we're going to have 5 mana next turn. So I think we just start this turn with an attack. I think opponent has a Merfolk Trickster, but that's fine if they do. Is opponent going to double block the Harpooner? What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Oh, opponent is going to double block the Harpooner. But they dive down before blocks. Oh. Oh, okay. That's certainly interesting. So what do we do now? What do we do now? I think we just play Paradise Druid still. Even though we have a Oketra, I think we run Paradise Druid out. We just want to put our opponent under as much pressure as possible. Because this Djinn is a real issue. So 5 mana. Opponent still can't make Pteramander scary. Ooh, that was a good draw. So we could just jam the Immortal Sun this turn. We do have to shock to do it. And it does make our Nissa worse. So maybe that's not a good idea. What can we do with the power of Nissa? Well, we can't play 2 spells. So that's something we can't do. Maybe we just jam God-Eternal Oketra still then. And just make a tapped Guildgate, and then we get to swing out next turn. We'll send with Knight, because if opponent wants to trade, that's really good for us. The opponent doesn't want to trade, which is understandable. We're going to make God-Eternal Oketra. We're going to put Guildgate in tapped, and we're going to pass. If opponent does anything too threatening, Kraul Harpooner can always chump the opponent explodes. Cool. So, like we said, this is our Selesnya Midrange for the Ravnica Constructed event for War of the Spark Chronicles Part 5, Gideon's Sacrifice. Again, any thoughts on the deck, any comments on the game, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more like it, we do have at least 1 more video coming out for this event, probably around 4 hours from now. Please consider subscribing as well, and setting notifications to let you know when videos do go live. Otherwise, if you want to see me playing any of these decks live when the event does go up tomorrow, You'll find a link in the description below to twitch.tv/mazemtg, and if you'll follow that, it'll take you to my channel, or if you could drop a follow, it would be appreciated as well. Otherwise, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.